Okay, today we're working on CC1 1.1.5 review and preview. So much like we did in class today, this is going to be our peanut and raisin investigation that we did, but we're doing it at home. Okay, so Bob and Mark decided to try the peanut and raisin investigation at home. Bob started with 10 peanuts on his tray, and Mark started with 10 raisins on his tray. This is shown here, okay? The raisins are the black dots and the peanuts are the white dots, okay? So just like we did in class, Mark gave 3 of his raisins to Bob, okay? Now we have to talk about, well, how does the number of peanuts and raisins on Bob's tray compare to the number of peanuts and raisins on Mark's tray? Well, what it's asking you, well, how many peanuts and raisins does Bob have? How many peanuts and raisins does Mark have? So Bob has his 10 peanuts and he received 3 raisins. Mark has 7 raisins and 0 peanuts. For number 2, we need to circle a group of any 3 peanuts and raisins, okay, on Bob's tray. So any 3 peanuts and raisins on Bob's tray. Okay, we need to circle some of each for a total of 3, okay? Then give them back to Mark. Does Bob now have more of Mark's raisins, or does Mark have more of Bob's peanuts? So if I circle any 3 to give back, and I have to circle some of each, so I'm going to circle 2 of Bob's peanuts and 1 of the raisins that Bob has, and I'm going to give them back to Mark. So Mark would have the raisin that I circled and 2 peanuts. Okay, which means that Bob no longer has these, and instead he has 8 peanuts and 2 raisins. So they each have the same amount of each other's items. Now, this is the same thing that we figured out in class today with our experiment. It doesn't matter how many that we give. When we pull some of each back, we end up with the same amount of each other's things. So now we're going to start from the very beginning, okay? And instead of trading 3 raisins, Mark giving 3 raisins to Bob, okay, we're going to assume that Mark gives 8 to Bob, okay? So we're going to start from the beginning. So I'm going to draw Mark's and Bob's trays here. Okay. Bob, Mark. Now, they each have 10. So Mark has the raisins. Bob has peanuts. Okay, now I'm going to circle 8 of Mark's raisins, and they go to Bob. Okay, so now Bob has, now I'm going to copy this because This is what I want. Okay. So now Bob has he now has all 10 of his peanuts plus 8 of Mark's raisins. Now we need to circle 8 of Bob's, what Bob has on his tray, and give those 8 to Mark. Okay, remember we have to circle some of both. But right now, if I'm looking at how many each person has, Mark has 2 of his peanuts, right? Or raisins left over. So I'm going to circle 8. So I'm going to do, let's see. I want to circle these 4 and these 4. And I want them to move to Mark. Okay. So when I do that, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 raisins. And 4 peanuts go to Mark. Which means that if I use my eraser here and determine what Bob has left and what Mark has left, Bob has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 peanuts and 4 raisins. Mark has 6 raisins and 4 peanuts. I need to explain my results that I did here, which means that, okay, my results are they still get the same amount of each other's snack items. Okay, so this side is the same as what we did in class today. So we're going to move on. Problem 37. Eli walked 12 feet down the hall of his house to get to the door. He continued in a straight line out the door and across the yard to the mailbox, which was a distance of 32 feet. He came straight back across the yard 14 feet and stopped to pet his dog. Okay, we need to draw a diagram. This is a picture. It can be as detailed as you want. It just needs to fit in the space. So, this is my diagram. So, he walked 12 feet down the hall of his house. So, this is my 12 feet. Okay. I'm going to draw a vertical line here. This represents his front door. Okay. And I'm going to draw a little door there. Okay. He walks straight out of his house and to his mailbox. This is 32 feet. Okay. Well then, and he's walking this way, right? Well then he comes back 14 feet to pet his dog. And my dog is not going to be super detailed, but there's his dog. So we need to figure out for part B, how far has he walked total? Well, I'm going to add up how many feet he walked. So I have 12 feet, then he walked 32 feet, and then he walked 14 feet. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. He walked 58 feet total. Well, now we need to figure out for part C, how far from the house is he now? So how far away from his front door is he? Well, if he walked 32 feet one direction and then walked backwards towards the house 14 feet, I could take 32 and subtract the 14 that he walked back towards the house. 2 minus 4, I cannot do that. I need to borrow my 3. My 30 turns to 20. And my 2 turns into a 12. So I have 12 ones and 20 tens. 12 minus 4 is 8. 2 minus 1 is 18. He is 18 feet from his house. Problem 38. Nadine and Deandra were working together to divide a circle into 3 equal parts. They came up with the diagram shown below. Tanisha said, one of these pictures is wrong. What do you think? Is one picture incorrect? If so, which one and why? This one looks like it's more equal parts. This first one. The second one, though, that one's not quite as equal, okay? And the reason is because of these sides here. There's a curved edge. This portion right here is not equal to this portion in the middle. The 2 outer sides are equal to each other, but that middle portion is not. You need to write down why it is not equal. Okay, problem 39. Find a pattern in each number sequence below, then use your pattern to generate the next 5 numbers in the sequence, and then explain the pattern. Okay, so we've done a lot of these, okay? So 2, 5, 3, 6, 4. Okay, let's going even, odd, odd, even, even. That's not a very good pattern to follow. Well, but 2 to 5 is 3. Okay. So 2 plus 5 is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. So we're not adding the previous ones like we did for the one yesterday. Okay. So 2 to 5 is 3. 3 to 6 is 3. That's not a pattern. Oh, but here's something I'm noticing. 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. What do you think comes next? Should be 7. And then I have to finish the orange pattern. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's growing. So every other number is growing by 1, right? So in explaining the pattern, so if I look at the 2 and the 3, it's every other number, right? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Every other number is growing by 1, is how I would explain it. Okay. Now, the next one. Generate the next 5 numbers in a sequence. 100, 99, 97, 94, 90. Okay. So, 100 minus 1 is 99. 99 minus 2 is 97. 97 minus 3. 94 minus 4. I think there's a pattern here. So 90, the next pattern would be 90 minus 5, which is 85. 85 minus 6 is 79. 79 minus 7 is 72. 72 minus 8 is 64. 64 minus 9 is 55. So it's subtracting one more than the previous subtraction. And again, it's minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9. The next one I would subtract 10, which would get me 45, and then 11 to get to the next one. Last problem, we're rounding again. So round 33 and 54,296 hundred thousandths. We're going to the 10,000th place value. So my 5 is in the tenths, 4 is in the hundredths, 2 is in the thousandths, the 9 is in my 10,000ths. So I underline my 9 and I look to the number next to it. It's a 6, which means that my 9 goes up. 9 up, when it goes up, is 10. So I have to carry that to the 2. So my rounded number becomes 33 with a decimal point, and then 5, 4, 3, 0, because this 9 would become a 10. So the next, if I had 29, the next number would be 30, because I'd add a 10 to my thousandths place. Okay. Now, B is we're rounding it to the 1,000 place value. So the 1,000 place value is this 7 right here by the comma. I look to the 4. The 4 tells me that my 7 stays the same. So I should have 307,000. I can add in the decimal and the zeros. The number is still the same. Last one. We're rounding to the nearest hundredth. I'm going to look for my hundredth place value. 3's tenths, 9's hundredths, 9 is my hundredths. Sorry. 3 is my tenths place value, 9 is my hundredths. I look next door. It's a 1, it's less than 5, so my 9 will stay the same. So I would write everything before my underlined number stays the same. And my 9 is the same because the 1 is less than 5. And everything behind it turns to a 0. As always, if you have any questions, please come and talk to me.